Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're covering pretty much most of the non-blue counterspells. I'm pretty sure I've missed a couple, but those ones are like real poo tier. These guys see a little bit of fringe play, mainly for Commander of course, and some of them maybe you'll start to consider using. And yeah, I know every other YouTuber's done it, we all cover the best of or staple formats and that, but hey, gotta get my hat in the ring. So, Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast, these two are very iconic. They've got their blue counterparts of course, but the red ones are worth far more because blue tends to be the more competitive colour, especially in the old vintage formats, and in Commander 2, blue is very common. So actual Red Elemental Blast, you can wreck a blue spell or a blue permanent. Very powerful. If you're a multi-way game, there's a good chance you're going to find a blue player. And Pyroblast is pretty much the same thing for most people, it just has the word if it's blue. It's same cost, same speed, everything. Now here's some of my favourite ones. Burnout, a little bit more expensive for 2 mana, but you can counter target instant if it's blue. It's basically a counter for a counter of blue, or maybe a blue board wipe like a Cyclonic Rift or something, but just get to draw a card at the beginning of next upkeep. That's not too bad, and the flavor text really suits the card. Gotcha. Great for red players in Commander. Withering Boon is another good staple, even if you just run this as anti-Commander card. 2 mana, you have to pay 3 life as well, but you counter target creature spell. Even if it's just purely anti-Commander card, people do not see it coming. Lapse of Certainty, kind of a soft counter. Yeah, 3 mana, but it doesn't matter what it targets, it can counter any spell. But instead of going into the graveyard, it goes on top of the library. It could be a benefit if you're countering something that's quite a heavy cost to cast. They're putting all the mana into it, and then you're countering it, but you're putting it back on top of the library, so you're also negating a new draw in a sense. Artifact Blast. Now this is one I love running in my red Commander decks. I think it's very underrated. 1 red mana, instant. Counters any artifact spells that's being cast. Just counter artifact. Yes, red Rex artifacts are very easy compared to other colours. Green gets in there too. But it's a counter. A couple of advantages. They don't see it coming, always good, but it can stop enter battlefield effects, and it helps deal with indestructible artifacts that once they're on the board you can't deal with them. It's awesome. Maybe consider replacing one of your artifact removal spells in your deck for this, because it could come in handy. And another really good one for the white players in Commander, Illumination. 2 mana, you're going to counter any artifact enchantment. The caster does get life equal to the CMC, but in Commander format where you got like 40 plus life, a little bit extra is not much more to deal with. It fits into most white decks, yeah it's double white kind of rough, but I'm going to let you gain 1 life on counter your Sol Ring all day long. Just a very strong piece. Artifacts in particular are rampant in Commander. Enchantments are pretty heavy too. Good option. Then there's Avoid Fate. This is a really good one for you green players. Doesn't care about color, only cares about the type. You can counter an instant or enchantment aura that's going to target a permanent you control. That's great. A lot of these effects are often limited to color, so that's why I like these 3 here. They don't care about color, they just care about types. They fit in far more decks I think, and most of these are under like $4. Then here are the odd weird ones from Plano Chaos. What a weird set by the way. But Dawn Charm, modes, you get to pick a few. They're all pretty good actually. The last one lets you counter a target spell that targets you. Most of those effects are going to be discard effects or burn direct. So it could come in handy, but less likely. Mana Tithe, counter anything unless they pay an extra 1. It's a really good gotcha. It's kind of like Force Spike, pretty much the same thing. But sometimes in the early game, they're using all the mana each turn. You could just get a cheeky little one in there. Rebuff the Wicked, a very good one actually. 1 mana as well, instant counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. It's cheap, doesn't care about color, long as it's targeting something we own, we can just go, nope, get that shit out of here. So here are the colorless counter spells. Not for this world, has been around for quite a while, it's very unique, different wording. It's Eldrazi Tribal, so the tribal part could come in handy, but it can only counter target spell or ability. Ability is nice to have by the way, but it has to target a permanent you control. If it's targeting a creature you control with power 7 or greater, it's free. That's pretty good. Like you could be tapped out and people go, oh, his hands, he can't do it, get in there boys. And you go, haha, gotcha, bang, counted, not of this world. Warping Whale, a lot less versatile I'd say in a deck. You can only counter a sorcery, but it doesn't care whether it's targeting what's happening, you just 2 mana, hard counter target sorcery. Plus it's got 2 other modes which could come handy in a colorless deck. Okay, these are kind of what I think are the rejects in Commander. They can be used, but they're definitely more restricted. Dash Hopes, counter target spell, but any player can pay 5 life to counter Dash Hopes. 5 life in Commander is nothing, they're going to pay the 5 life unless they're going to get killed from it. Guttural Response does see play in the more competitive formats, but in Commander multi-way games, it's a little more restricted. It can only counter a target instant that's blue. A little bit more locked in there, but it could still see play. Cyclonic Rift is a thing. Molten Influence, again, like Dash Hopes, a little bit more restricted. Only counters instant sorceries, doesn't care about colour, but anyone can pay 4 life to negate the effect. It's not going to really do you much. The Mage's Contest. It can be a hard counter, but you and the control of that spell have to bid life. The winner gets to decide what happens, pretty much. Your opponent's going to milk you for everything you got. And in most cases, unless you're well in advance and this is a life or death situation, you might just end up killing yourself. It's a huge risk, but it is fun in the Nora the Wary deck, like the real chaotic board presence kind of thing. And then we've got Tybalt's Trickery, brand new, just got spoiled the other day, kinda weird. So, counter target spell at 2 mana, that's fine. But you gotta choose 1, 2, or 3 at random, they mill that many cards, then you exile cards from top of the library and to reveal a non-land card with a different name. They may cast it without paying its cost. Yeah, it's kind of a polymorph in a similar effect, but if it's a life or death situation, you're gonna get your cheeks clapped. Might save you, it could. It's a really random card. Maybe good for the Nora and the Wary deck. Okay, these ones aren't actually so much counter spells, they're a bit more old school, they've kind of faded out, people forget about them, but they're more of a permanent presence on the board that can work. You've got Death Grip and Life Force. Mirror images, but black and green that hate on the opposite colour. So Death Grip, 2 mana, counter any target green spell. Life Force is a mirror, but for black. I would say for these 2 kind of cards, it's definitely in your play group. If there's a lot of black decks running around, it could come in handy. Or if you've got a lot of like ramp heavy decks and elf players and that, maybe Death Grip. You gotta weigh that one up. You got the 2 knights here. You got Order of the Sacred Torch, and you got the Stormglad Cabal. 3 mana each, 2 2s. They counter any spell for 1 life and the tap effect of the mirror color. So black versus white and white versus black. Great in knight decks, especially with all the new decks being like Mardu Knights and that. Surely you'll throw into a spell that you can counter with them. And people forget about these cards. They totally forget it's just a hard counter built on a creature. They can kind of sneak through the board in a way. Null Brooch is an interesting one. 4 mana to just get on the board, but you can pay 2 mana, ditch your hand, counter any non-creature spell. If you're a red deck, or you're top decking mode constantly, or if that's what your deck likes to do, you don't really need a hand, that's not a bad effect. 2 mana to negate something isn't the worst in the world, really. Planar Chaos, a very chaotic card, great in the Noran decks or coin flipping decks, we can affect that a bit more, but whenever a player's playing a spell, you flip a coin, if they lose the flip, they counter the spell. It works for your stuff too though, so just God knows what's happening. Then you've got Ring of Mortals, most expensive card here by far. It's from Legends, reserve list, but it's a permanent counter on the board. 5 to get on the board, 3 plus tap to activate, counters target instant or enchantment, can only counter things that are targeting your permanents. Expensive, $40. And the last ones, which are kind of a bit more janky for Commander, Nullstone, whenever the first non-creatures played each turn gets countered, affects you too though as well. Chalice of the Void, bit too expensive playing Commander, too many different mana costs in Commander, really sweaty to be honest in a Commander format, definitely for more modern and other competitive formats. Chancellor of the Annex, the whole reveal from your hand effect at the beginning of the game, counters the first spell unless they pay 1 extra. People can forget about it and you can get a good little gotcha in there. And Frontlight Medic, actually really good, does get forgotten about all the time. It has the second ability where you can sack it to counter a target spell with X in it, unless they pay an extra 3. In most cases, if people are playing X spells, like they're sinking all their mana into it. He can be on the board doing a thing. People only remember him for Battalion, they don't remember that second part. So the amount of times he can counter a spell is great. Alright, hopefully that helped you guys. I really do like the non-blue counters. I love the gotcha moments, people don't see it coming. And there's a few here that I didn't expect that were actually this decent once you look at him. Like Illumination, I'm going to start putting that into a lot of my decks. Avoid Fate as well, and the Artifact Blast. They're amazing 3 counters. I'm going to chuck them in a lot of my decks as I can. Any that I missed that you think are worth mentioning? I think I got most of them. There's a couple really janky creature effects I saw. I was like, yeah, they're not worth putting in. But if there's anything that you think are really worth it, mention them down below, guys. And have a good one. See ya. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you found it interesting, give the video a like. Helps out the channel a lot. Please consider subbing. About 10 to 15% of our viewers are subs now. To my patrons, thank you so much, guys, for your support. I can't thank you guys enough. I hope you're all safe in the world. Hopefully, 2021 will be a good year for the channel.